Hello, hello, hello. My name is Yoshinator, and it has been a long time since I've uploaded anything to this channel, but I'm looking forward to transitioning to my new gaming era and starting off with Warzone. So I have been kind of enjoying Warzone for the last few years, particularly with a good friend of mine, and just recently we've been doing the very first game of Squid Games, the version of Warzone where they've taken the Squid Game format, and man oh man, I think after 1 hour or so we all agree that this is quickly becoming our favorite game mode to play. And it's hilarious because every time I play Warzone, sometimes I get caught up with doing the objectives, and I'm always getting ridiculed or roasted for playing in the objectives too much because I'm not focusing on killing people. And I remember playing the Christmas mode and just chasing reindeers. Also because I thought the reindeers would be super handy to get the reinforcement flares. But it was a trap. Most of the times I'd be chasing the reindeers and just people would get me. But now with Squid Game, everything is like about the objective, which is like kind of like my bread and butter, except that everything's kind of different since, even since I've been playing Warzone, I think since Modern Warfare 2, where it's probably the biggest amount of teams I've ever faced inside a Warzone. I know there's Resurgence still going, but with the eliminations and with the objectives, eliminating people, the red light, green light, everything is like so different and chaotic that I think this is actually more of a game mode where I'm focusing a little bit less on actually killing people and just getting random, stuff done, like trying to spend cash, which for whatever reason is the craziest. And you'll see kind of throughout this gameplay which ones we struggle on and which ones we kind of ace. Like this one right now, activating kill streaks, particularly at the beginning of a match, it was kind of worrying me and us at the beginning because like we just started, there's nothing to get. You're looking around for like orange boxes, there's absolutely nothing, and the only thing we can do is really just go to a buy station, and you can see like 10th is like just one kill streak and we have none, and we're in the risking getting elimination. So for those who haven't heard of Squid Game or who have completely been confused by what's happening right now because it did just come out, essentially it's like taking the Warzone format, Resurgence, everything, but then placing on this new format of you have to do these objectives, and if you are one of the last teams, there's a ranking of how you are going as a team. You get straight up eliminated, and you can kind of see in the left a whole 4 people just gone right there. And then later on they introduced that format from the TV series Red Light, Green Light, where if you're caught moving when she's looking, you get straight up eliminated. And it's interesting, we've been trying to figure out like, when can we do it? Are we allowed to reload? And can we fire or not? What happens if you're indoor, etc. And she's pretty ruthless. Like, I'm like calling out right now, like just don't move, like motion. But we found out that if you reload, it's okay. But if you're shooting, no, it's not okay. And I'm yet to test, but I believe if she can get you inside, it doesn't matter. And if you're airborne, that's fine. It's okay. You can go around and no stress right there. So sometimes you'll see me just like through the air because I know that the motion's coming. But I can be okay so long as I'm, flying, whatever. And you can kind of see like another objective here is get airborne, which is all about just trying to get high. And we're also trying to figure out, is it calculating is it the time or is it the meters gained while being airborne? And sometimes I don't know if it's a bug because of, the way it just got released from Call of Duty side and Treyarch side, that one of the modes is traveling the furthest, and sometimes we would be traveling, but it wouldn't, be showing up. And we don't know if it's like one collectively single travel, it's your maximum, or is it cumulative in that it's adding on to the travel? But what I've instantly noticed is that, we're looting a lot more, and we're also looking for things like most wanted and just doing a bit more of the objectives. I think the supply boxes, which get like easy money, easy points, because we're always opening up caches. And one of the objectives is to open up caches. The hardest one that we've found so far is like spending cash, or rather even collecting cash, because they do drop down these little cash crates, but for whatever reason, they're a little bit further away. It's like a death zone. There's all these like intricacies of like, do you go for it? Do you not go for it? People are watching it, people are looking at it, and so forth. So it gets kind of, frustrating when you're like 0 and you haven't spent any cash, or you only spent like 1,000, or you only collected that much, and you are in the risk of being eliminated. And so it's like, why can't? And then, your teammates, because we're playing with duos, but we get paired up with 2 other randoms. It's like they don't understand what's going on. They're looking at like the objectives, but they're just not even doing anything corresponding, which then gets rid of the whole squad, because if you don't do the objectives, you're out and you failed the Squid Game. So for the first like 45 minutes or so, it was getting used to this new format. What do we do? Trying to suss out like some good spots to go to. And we slowly figured out that the towers, we think that in the center are very nice to kind of just hover at the beginning. There's so many different crates there. You can just kind of essentially have a good base to, hold that area, pick off the people that do come there. You can look at people from above down there. You can go airborne. You can zip up when you need to, which comes into the Squid Game format. And the only issue that we found is that if you're not in that zone, when the gas does start spreading, you'll eventually have to come down, and then it gets way more dicier. But you can kind of see like we're right now, opening up so many caches, 76,000 altogether, which is just ridiculous. It does that to me. That does not happen in normal Resurgence. It's you'd be fairly well off if you can reach 15,000 by yourself, let alone just a team. It's just like this mode really incentivizes doing things, and I think in that process, you're opening up so many items, you're getting so many more objectives done, and in turn, you're getting more cash. I also really like that, and you'll see here now we're doing the traveling the furthest mode, where I'm just trying to like use a PDS, just go through a parachute, and sometimes it does like collect. I'm like, okay, yeah, I can see the meters gained, but then it'll stop working. Even, and we're figuring out, does zip lining work? So right now it's like 139 meters, but I'm zip lining, yet nothing seems to be showing or adding. So it's like, is that not traveling, or what defines or constitutes traveling in this mode? Then I also really enjoyed that one of the modes, one of the objectives is you have to deal the most damage. And like the first time, it's always like you have a clear, advantageous incentive, way more than before, to then actually do something, go out and hunt people. And some teammates that I've played with, maybe even myself in particular, would just be too focused on the objective. But when the objective is actually killing someone, then it's like, okay, it becomes a little bit more engaged, more active, more fun, more dangerous and risky. And for the first 40 minutes that we try in this mode, it is hard. We're following the objectives, but you start with like 32 different teams, and you can still see we're down to 18. And after 5 or 6 minutes, it's still like, this is uncommon compared to normal Resurgence or Warzone. You'd usually be within the top 10 after about 7 minutes or so. So we're not even like at that level yet. And we're also still like, the map is fairly big, but because there's so many more players and so many more teams, there are way more scenarios where you just run into people that can then just take you out. Especially when you have an objective like this where it's all about firing the most bullets. And you can kind of see I'm reloading, figuring out that I can reload while firing the bullets. But when you're doing the firing the bullets, you're just completely like letting it, obviously people like know that I'm there, and obviously I'm getting chased. And this was interesting when I get downed and then she's going to do the elimination. And I thought I had that second where I knew that the enemy could just they have to wait because of the red light, green light. But I just split second pulled out that kill streak and just made a little bit of a boo-boo. And that's why I'm out. So, figuring out the firing the bullets, how to do that in a safe space, looking for the guns that like have the silencers the best, and just popping those off, because with the light machine gun, it's just such an interesting risk of like, do you fire bullets and draw attention, or do you not fire bullets and then risk being killed from the objectives? And I always hate when you spawn in and someone precision and you just land with a parachute. It just takes you out. So this is the area where I was saying that if you can hold this down, particularly at the beginning, to me it's like it's a godsend. There's just so many different boxes to get. You get these orange boxes which usually have a kill streak, and one of the as mentioned, the objectives was to take out the kill streak. I really like the PDS from here. You can get the airborne, which I think I'm trying to do now, the climbing the highest, which I thought it would have worked, for the altitude, but I think you just need to get actual climbing statistics. So you need to like be looking at a ladder, or you need to be looking at this guy I hate guys that just randomly just happen to be in a crane and just the way he popped me off sometimes infuriates me in this game. So yeah, climbing, like looking like little towers, brick walls, anything, where you're actually maneuvering over an obstacle. And I was trying to get in through this little, I don't know what else. I was trying to go back up to this guy who I thought was there, but he clearly wasn't. So the gas still hasn't come in, and we knew there's someone here, there's maybe one or two people, especially if you're wearing headphones. And I've played this game with some mates, and for the life of me, God love them, my mate, we tagged him off right. Yeah, that's beautiful. If you're not playing with headphones in this game, to me it's a serious disadvantage. And I play with friends who play just on like their big TV. Great, no worries, it looks nice and all that. But when it comes to like first person shooters, or even like any type of shooter, you need to be able to hear something. So you cannot rely on the display of a TV's monitor for the sound, unless you can, somehow tune the settings. But to me, having the headphones, hearing the footsteps has been always like a huge game changer. And I know it's probably since the days of Hutch and Ciananas and Machinima, but my God, I just wish I could convince my mates even further. And sometimes I would even go so far where I might refuse to play with them because I just know if I do Warzone with them, it'll be like an absolute struggle. Even like search and destroy modes where it's super critical to know where people are, you need the headphones. I'd also even add that having a monitor of some kind, it doesn't have to be a gaming monitor. I know it's preaching dumb basic fundamentals, but I was playing on a TV screen for a long while, and as much as it was convenient to do so, the latency, the reaction times, everything in terms of like seeing things much closer came with having a monitor and just seeing enemies even further. And ever since I got the monitor, it's been like an absolute godsend. So much clarity has been gained. And I didn't even realize that you could change in the settings, as my friend, could not believe that I had not changed the field of view to like from 90 to 120. It was always on 90. And I was like, what is going on? And in combination with my poor game playing, I was playing at like a huge disadvantage. I'm not the best, Call of Duty player, but I definitely wasn't doing myself a good service of having, such a limited field of view of like 90 degrees. So when you go to 120, it's like, oh my God, you can just see the whole playing field. So right now, like we're kind of also getting closer towards the top 10, and we hadn't been top 5 at all. And so we can see that like this is like hopefully, the one that we're gonna get the dub, because your teammates also super are important in terms of the randoms that you get. And sometimes I swear, I don't know if Call of Duty is matchmaking us like with good players, like one every few games, and then the rest is just like these level ones. Because sometimes we would play a good game, and then I don't know if it would be the skill-based matchmaking where the next lobby would be like super sweaty and you're just like, what is going on? Like now I'm playing with like a bunch of level 55s, everyone's like super experienced or whatnot, and everything just seems harder. Or then sometimes you have the opposite where you are like, the 2 level 55s carrying these 2 level 1s, and I just don't get like why am I being paired with these 2 people? Is it to kind of even off, the skill across the group? Because it's so frustrating playing with newbies, and I get it, they have to learn the game, but sometimes I'm like, how does the skill-based matchmaking work? And it sounds ridiculous to say, but it's just night and day when you have 2 other good individuals and a whole team that can actually kill someone and actually does some damage and isn't not just effing around and going around like walking and participating. When things are being done, it changes everything. So I really enjoyed that, and I don't know if Call of Duty is still doing the skill-based matchmaking. I would be interested to see what it would be like if it was just random and just letting things flow. I would also think like surely they would pair duos, that are playing in a party with other people that are in a party. I think I've seen that maybe a couple times, but otherwise I'm like, like how, surely we're not the only 2 people that are in a party. Why can't we be matched with other 2 people in a party? And right now we're at like the top 7 or 6, and so I'm kind of like freaking out because this hasn't happened so far, and we're getting close. I don't think there's any buy station, despite all our cash. And now this is the fire bullets thing. But we've been caught out because the motion, the red light, green light still goes on. And sometimes halfway through the game, like the first 2 times that she's doing it, you're like, oh, yep, I know this. It's all good. Like, I'm going to just stop and do this. But then after like 7 minutes or so, you forget about this red light, green light. And then you're doing this objective, and then you get caught out because you moved and whatnot. So I'm about to do something like really ridiculous where like I just could not wait that extra second. I made such, and I'm like I'm swearing at myself. I made such a dumb mistake. I knew that she was there. I'd waited pretty much till the end, and I just had to get up, and then I'm out. And you can see now it should be the top 4 teams. So the process of elimination is still taking out the teams, even if you're on the top 4. And now I'm just spectating my mate here, who thankfully does fairly well to continue. But the sad part is there's no buy station, and unlike the Christmas resurgence mode, there's no reinforcement flares that you can get from reindeers. You're pretty much just going with your team, and if they could get a buy station. But I feel so bad if you're on the look at that bottom third, they need to fire bullets, otherwise they're out, and that's what happens. And now it's 2v1, and so I'm kind of, you ever get to that mode where you're just coaching, you're just trying to look for the other person, you're like, go left, go right, play it up, put some spring mines. You just go into this coaching mode of trying to figure out how to help your teammate and how to, elevate them. Because sometimes I'll be like that as well. Like I won't be having a good night or the weakest player. And you're like, I got to coach this player to victory because we're part of the team. And I want that victory. I want that dub so bad. So right now I think I spectate Pink because I'm trying to figure out where he is, because like what's going on. And thankfully Pink was clued in, and we're just like losing right here. But like such a blessing, because even some level 55s that you get, you don't know if they've just been grinding for hours and just terrible, and they could still be level 55. So you know, just because they have a degree doesn't mean they're necessarily smart. But thankfully we actually had some decent players, and there you go. First introduction into Squid Game's Warzone. I think this might be actually not a gimmick, and it's actually probably my favorite mode so far. So here's to more sweaty lobbies, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.